Imagine waking up to find your face splashed across every military screen in the country. Not because you did something wrong, but because someone powerful tried to bury the truth you uncovered. That's what happened to Lieutenant Mara Collins, a quiet, brilliant analyst stationed at a remote communications base in Nevada. Before all this, no one outside her small circle even knew her name. But the night her footage went live on every Pentagon-connected base across the world, she became a legend. It started, as these stories often do, with something small, an anomaly in the data. Mara's job was to monitor satellite transmissions and decode potential threats. She was meticulous, the kind of person who double-checks every line of code before signing off. One night, she noticed a repeating signal, faint, irregular, and almost invisible under the normal chatter. It wasn't a transmission from any known satellite or foreign power. It was buried deep within encrypted military channels, like a heartbeat hiding under static. She flagged it, documented it, and sent her findings up the chain. 2 hours later, her report disappeared. At first, she thought it was a glitch. Systems sometimes lost logs when multiple networks synced at once. But when she went to retrieve the backup, the file was gone there too, not deleted, but overwritten. Someone had deliberately scrubbed it. That was when the unease began to crawl up her spine. The next morning, her commanding officer, Colonel Brandt, called her in. His voice was calm but sharp. "Lieutenant Collins," he said, "we appreciate your diligence, but your last report was an internal test. You can drop it." She frowned. "Sir, I didn't run any test. The signal came from—" He cut her off. "That's classified. Higher clearance than yours. Forget about it. That should have been the end of it." But Mara couldn't let it go. She'd seen enough anomalies to know when something didn't add up. So that night, after everyone left, she stayed behind, rerouting her terminal through an unused port. What she found froze her blood. The signal wasn't a test. It was a live feed. Grainy, black and white footage from what looked like a desert compound. There were men in tactical uniforms, unmarked vehicles, and someone strapped to a chair. She didn't know what she was seeing, but she knew one thing. It wasn't supposed to be happening. She copied the footage to a secure drive and logged the metadata. At 02:17 a.m., she sent it to a trusted friend, Sergeant Leo Dunn, with a single line, "If I disappear, show this to the press." Then she erased her local copy and shut everything down. The next day, her security badge didn't work. Her access was revoked, her terminal sealed. They called it a temporary suspension for unauthorized data access. But when she got home that night, she noticed the lock on her apartment door had been forced. Inside, drawers were open, her laptop gone. Someone had been searching. Leo tried to calm her. "You're overreacting," he said, though his eyes betrayed his worry. "You did the right thing, but you can't fight this from the inside. Just lay low." For a week, Mara tried to. She stayed off the base, ignored the emails, pretended to comply. But then something strange happened. Leo stopped responding. She drove to his quarters, the door was sealed, and his nameplate removed. No one had seen him in days. Officially, he was transferred. Unofficially, he'd vanished. That's when she realized they weren't just erasing data. They were erasing people. She decided to go public. Using an old relay link, she accessed the satellite channel again. But the signal had changed. It was stronger now, pulsing faster, like whoever was behind it knew she was watching. She tried to record, but the screen flickered and went black. Then the power in her building cut out. When it came back, her computer displayed a single message. That night, she packed a bag and drove toward the mountains. She didn't have a plan, just instinct. But somewhere along the way, headlights appeared behind her, closing fast. She veered off-road, cutting through dirt trails until the engine sputtered and died. In the silence, she heard the crunch of tires on gravel. She grabbed her phone, opened her hidden app, and transmitted everything she had left. The logs, the GPS coordinates, even the scrambled bits of footage, directly to a Pentagon relay node she'd once helped design. Then she ran. By dawn, the government issued an alert labeling her missing in action. Internally, they called her a security breach. But the data she sent didn't vanish like the others. It hit an automated emergency system meant for wartime broadcasts, a relic from the Cold War that hadn't been used in decades. The footage began to replicate across every connected military network, from training bases in Texas to command rooms in Germany. And what it showed couldn't be unseen. In the video, a man in a suit, face half-shadowed, was interrogating a bound prisoner. The location timestamp matched a classified installation in the Mojave Desert. The audio was distorted, but one phrase was clear: "No one will ever know." Except now, everyone did. At first, the Pentagon tried to cut the feeds, but the system was hardwired to prevent censorship during wartime. For 2 hours, every screen under Department of Defense jurisdiction displayed that footage on loop. Soldiers, officers, even base commanders stood frozen as the video played again and again. By the time they shut it down, the damage was done. The footage had already leaked to the civilian web. Meanwhile, no one could find Mara. Some said she escaped into the desert. Others claimed she was taken by the same people she exposed. But a week later, strange things started happening. Classified files began surfacing online. Documents detailing secret experiments, surveillance programs, and the very project Mara had stumbled upon, something called Operation Halcyon. It was a covert operation to manipulate foreign broadcasts. But the test subject in the footage wasn't foreign. He was American. Suddenly, everything fit. The erased reports, the vanished people, the corrupted signals. It was all part of Halcyon. They weren't testing communications. They were testing obedience. And Mara had found the proof. By the time the public pieced it together, Congress demanded an inquiry. Officials denied everything, of course. But within the Pentagon, whispers spread. Some claimed the footage couldn't have been uploaded by a single person. It would have required top-level clearance. Others said the system itself chose to broadcast it, interpreting Mara's distress signal as a national emergency. Whatever the truth, one thing was certain: someone had gone to extreme lengths to silence her, and failed. 3 months later, an anonymous message appeared on an encrypted forum used by whistleblowers. It contained GPS data pointing to a remote canyon in Nevada, and a final line of text that sent chills across the web. "They tried to erase me, but data never died." That message led to a discovery that would change everything. The thing waiting at the end of that canyon. When the search team reached the canyon, the sun was sinking low, spilling molten orange across the desert. It was quiet, too quiet for what they were expecting. No movement, no signs of life. Just the wind brushing over sand and rock. Then one of them spotted it. A metal hatch half buried under loose gravel, scorched at the edges, as if someone had tried to destroy it. It looked old, maybe from the Cold War era. The team pried it open, flashlights cutting through the darkness below. A narrow staircase spiraled down into a hidden bunker. Inside, everything was coated in dust except for one corner. A small workspace with a flickering monitor still running on emergency power. On the screen was a looping line of code, green against black. The timestamp was recent. And on the desk sat a flash drive labeled MC. The lead investigator plugged it in, and the monitor came alive. There she was, Lieutenant Mara Collins. Not in person, but in video form, recorded days before she vanished. Her face was tired but determined, her voice low and steady. "If you're watching this," she said, "it means they found me. or they will soon. What you saw on those broadcasts wasn't an accident. It was a warning. Operation Halcyon was never about communication. It was about control. The system was designed to override decision-making in the field, to influence judgment during combat by feeding emotional triggers through encrypted audio. They called it tactical suggestion. But they pushed it further. They tested it on their own. She paused, taking a breath. The footage I found wasn't just interrogation. It was a live test. They were programming loyalty. Static broke across the screen, but her voice cut through. They think they can erase me. But what they don't understand is I built part of the system, and I built a fail-safe. She smiled faintly. When they deleted my record, the system triggered a full replication protocol. Every classified base, every command post linked to Halcyon received a copy. They wanted to silence me. Instead, they gave me the loudest voice on Earth. Then the feed glitched and ended. The investigators exchanged looks. It didn't make sense. If this was real, it meant the Pentagon itself had been hacked by one of its own engineers. The implications were enormous. Before they could process it, the lights in the bunker flickered, and another feed appeared. Not from the drive, but from an active network. It was the Pentagon emergency broadcast system. Someone, somewhere, had just reactivated it. Across every connected base, screens blinked to life again. Soldiers stopped mid-meal. Officers froze at their desks. Technicians stared in disbelief as Mara's face returned to every monitor, her recorded voice echoing through corridors. "This isn't about vengeance," she said. "This is about memory. They can erase files, burn evidence, rewrite history, but they can't delete truth. Not if we keep it alive." Her voice filled rooms from Alaska to Okinawa. And this time it wasn't grainy or broken. It was clear, intentional, controlled. Then something remarkable happened. Within hours, dozens of whistleblowers inside the system began uploading their own archives, corroborating files, mission logs, surveillance data. The floodgates opened. Reporters called it the data revolt. Overnight, what was once a conspiracy theory became undeniable. But the question everyone asked was the same. Where was Mara now? The official search found nothing. No footprints beyond the canyon. No remains. No sign of struggle. Yet weeks later, strange occurrences began rippling through the defense network. Files began reorganizing themselves into secure folders titled Collins Archive. No one admitted to creating them. The encryption matched Mara's original code signature. It was as if her system had gained autonomy, a living memory of her existence coded into the very infrastructure she once served. One night, months after the event, a Pentagon technician was working late when his monitor flickered to life. A line of text appeared across his screen. "Truth is not classified." Then it vanished. He thought it was a prank until he checked the access log. The command came from a decommissioned base in Nevada, the same one where Mara had last been stationed. That was the last confirmed digital trace of her. The world moved on, as it always does. New headlines buried old scandals, and the Halcyon investigation quietly dissolved under national security. But beneath the surface, the legend of Mara Collins only grew. Among soldiers, her name became a whisper, a symbol of defiance. They called her the ghost of Halcyon. Some said she was still out there, moving through abandoned bunkers, watching the watchers. Others believed her consciousness was uploaded into the network itself, guiding the leaks that continued to surface every few months, each one exposing another hidden truth. Then, almost a year later, the Pentagon experienced what officials described as an unexplained global synchronization event. For 6 minutes, every classified server went offline, then rebooted simultaneously. When the systems came back, the login screens displayed a single image, a digital phoenix rising from static, with the words, "Remember her." They never found out how it happened. Years passed and the world changed again. New conflicts, new secrets, new versions of the same old power games. But every now and then, when someone inside the system tried to cover something up, when they thought they'd deleted a file for good, a strange message would appear deep in the code. No one could trace it. No one could stop it. It always said the same thing. Integrity requires witnesses. And somewhere in that silence between transmissions, it felt like Mara was still there. The invisible heartbeat in the static, watching, waiting, making sure truth had a pulse. In time, her story became more than just a scandal. It became a warning. Universities taught it in ethics courses. Journalists cited it as the turning point in whistleblower history. And soldiers whispered her name before missions that tested their loyalty to orders versus conscience. The Pentagon never spoke publicly about the broadcast again. But insiders said that every new communications system now had a built-in safeguard, one modeled after Mara's fail-safe, to prevent unilateral data deletion without oversight. Her code lived on, rewritten but intact, like a ghost in the machine, ensuring no truth could ever be buried too deep. And for all the power they had tried to use to silence her, it was her quiet voice that lingered longest. A single line from that last recording, still echoed by those who remembered, "You can erase a person, but not what they stand for." In the end, that was her victory. Not the footage, not the scandal, not the headlines. It was the fact that her truth outlived her silence. That somewhere in the endless hum of data and deception, honesty found a heartbeat again. And maybe that's all she ever wanted.